Hi everyone, welcome to Pass Pointer number 2, How the UFE is Marked. My name is Ira Walfish and I'm a co-director along with Michael Levi of the Professional Accounting Supplementary School. In this Pass Pointer, I'm going to explain how the UFE is marked, as well as give you some insight into what happens at the marking center. Let's get started. In 2003, the marking scheme for the UFE underwent a dramatic change. What used to be a fairly simple process, where questions were given points, became a much more complicated process. Someone obviously had a lot of time on their hands in order to come up with the current marking system, which led to a lot of this. Not surprisingly, the UFE board considers all of the technical competencies, as well as the pervasive qualities in the whole marking scheme. The first thing they did in the marking scheme is create primary and secondary indicators. What is a primary indicator? A primary indicator is a critical issue. If you miss an issue in real life that is primary, you are in big trouble. But if it is a secondary indicator, while it may be relevant, it is not such a big deal if you miss it. And now, for every primary indicator, you get slotted into 5 levels. Not addressed and nominal are worth nothing, totally useless. Region competent counts and is good, but the best is competent. Surprisingly, highly competent is the same as competent and may be detrimental, as you may blow your time budget getting this with no upside. In case you get a secondary indicator, the only one that counts is competent. In order to pass the UFE, they constructed a passing profile or decision model, whereby you have to pass 3 levels to be successful. Level 1 is the sufficiency level. You have to score enough region competence or competence throughout the UFE to get to the second level. Level 2 is depth. Here you have to score competence several times in both PM and assurance. And level 3 is breadth. Here you have to score region competence in each of the 4 technical competencies, governance, finance, tax, and MDM, probably once each, to get by level 3. And then you pass the UFE. These 3 levels all deal with primary indicators. The only time secondary indicators come up is in level 3. And maybe they will help you there in level 3. A key point is that doing better in one primary indicator will not help you for another primary indicator, which means that time budgets are absolutely critical on this type of exam. Here is a diagram the UFE puts out to illustrate the marking scheme. So let me now illustrate how this marking scheme really works using some made-up numbers that are probably pretty close to actual. In level 1, the sufficiency level, the board assigns marks. Not addressed and nominal are worth 0, but region competent might be worth 2 marks on a multi and 3 marks on a comp. Competent might be double region, or 4 marks on a multi and 6 marks on a comp. Highly competent is exactly the same as competent, so no incentive whatsoever to get highly competent. Let's assume that on a UFE, there are 8 primary indicators on the comp. There's always 7 or 8. That means if you got region competent on each indicator, you scored a total of 8 times 3 or 24 marks. If you got competent on each indicator, you could get a maximum of 8 times 6 or 48 marks. For the multis, let's say in total there's 20 indicators. On these indicators, they only give you 2 marks for region competent and 4 for competent. So if I get region competent on all 20, I have 40 marks. And if I score competent on all 20, I have 80 marks. Therefore, in total, if I scored region competent on the whole UFE, in all 28 indicators, I scored a total of 64 marks. If I scored competent in all indicators, my mark is 128. What they now do is pick a passing mark, somewhere between 64 and 128. Say 95 for argument's sake. And to pass level 1, you have to score 95 or above. That is why this level is called the sufficiency level. You are getting enough combined region competence and competence to make the passing mark to move to level 2. Level 2 is simpler. This level is depth in PM and assurance. Say there are 6 indicators in PM over the whole UFE and 7 indicators in assurance. Here, what you have to do is score competent several times each. The problem is we don't know what several is, as that is not disclosed. It is probably about 50%. So you may need 3 competent out of 6 for PM and maybe 3 or 4 out of 7 for assurance, There are no marks here. They call these hits. You simply need depth to get competent in a few indicators in both PM and assurance. Once you score the minimum number necessary, it does not matter what happens in the other PM and assurance indicators. Finally, Level 3 looks at the other 4 competencies. Say there were 3 primary indicators in tax, MDM, and finance, and 2 in governance. Here you have to hit region competent, probably once in each. Though if there's only 2 indicators in governance, it is likely governance would be excluded from this calculation, and it would not matter what you scored in governance in this level. So what happens if I scored region competent at least once in tax and finance, and for MDM I only score nominal or not addressed every single time? So here is where they will finally look at secondary indicators. And if there was one secondary indicator in MDM, they will look at it and see if you scored competent. And if you did, you would be saved and pass the UFE. If not, you would be unsuccessful because of MDM. Ironically, Level 3 sounds scary, but statistically, most candidates are unsuccessful in Level 1, the sufficiency level, followed by Level 2, the depth level, and lastly Level 3, the breadth level, which only affects 1% or less of the candidates. Go figure. I should also point out that the secondary indicators are not marked, unless they are necessary for a person in Level 3 who did not get a region competent in one of the levels. And pervasive indicators only come up in the sufficiency level number 1, and they count the same way that all other indicators count. So that in a nutshell is the passing profile on how the UFE is marked. I should also mention that the marking process, while complicated, is very high quality. Markers live in a hotel the entire time, marking morning till night. Each question is marked twice, and if one marker awards a region competent on an indicator and another marker says competent for the same indicator, it goes to arbitration and is marked a 3rd time. And the first 2 markers don't even see what the other marker has marked. So in conclusion, key takeaway points from this video are: time budgeting is critical, as all primary indicators are weighted equally on the multi and on the comp. So skipping a primary indicator because you spend too long in another primary indicator only will hurt you. You must be able to achieve competence several times in both PM and assurance to get through Level 2. Pervasive indicators are important, as there could be between 2 and 5 of these indicators, and they could play an important role in Level 1, the most important level where most unsuccessful candidates fail. Secondary indicators are not very important, as they only factor in if needed in Level 3, which is a rare occurrence. And finally, keep in mind, as crazy complicated as this marking process sounds, way over 50% of the candidates who write the UFE pass, probably somewhere closer to 80% of first-time writers. So breathe a sigh of relief, chill out, and don't worry about the complexity of the marking scheme. Just keep in mind the takeaway pointers and you'll be fine. Take a quick look at the PASS website for information on courses, study plans, etc. Stay in the loop for future videos by subscribing to PASS pointers on the PASS website under the video page, or follow us on Twitter at PassUFE, and we'll let you know when a PASS pointer comes out. Our job is to make this process as manageable as possible, so feel free to contact us with questions or concerns. Thanks for watching, and see you at the next PASS pointer.